The woman's head mounted on your wall is also a great conversation piece.
Right. Hello and welcome to another week of weirdness. I wish I was talking about this podcast, but I'm really not. Hope everyone's okay. Hope everyone's, getting by. I'm really feeling for a lot of people out there, people I know and that are financially affected by what's going on with gigs cancelled, casual employment cancelled, all that sort of thing. I really, really hope that some sort of aid is coming from the government. But they've obviously just wrapped their head around being able to give out stimulus packages as a concept, let alone one big enough to deal with all the hardship that people are going to no doubt face over the next few months. So fingers crossed there, it's got to happen really. We talk about panic buying and make jokes about toilet paper and so on, and it's always confused me a little that the paper products were the thing that people went crazy about originally. I would have thought that the first thing to be cleared out, if there was fear that everyone would be locked down, would be bottle shops. So in that regard, strangely enough, some elephants are ahead of the curve there in this week in China. In the Yunnan province, some elephants taking advantage of the fact that everyone's on lockdown. They came across a village that didn't have anyone in there, anyone around. So these 14 elephants kind of broke into the village looking for food. What they found was a 30-kilo keg of corn wine. After drinking the lot, the elephants were pretty much smashed. Two of the males passed out drunk in the tea gardens nearby. So, they've got the right idea, I guess, about how to deal with this situation. Let's learn from these elephants. No, I can't really endorse people drinking themselves. Silly as a way of dealing with this situation, but they say elephants are intelligent animals. Maybe we can learn something from them. I suppose, are they that intelligent, really, if they're drinking corn wine? How bloody horrible does that sound? Ever had corn wine? Get in touch. Find us on the social channels. DM me your corn wine experiences. And here we are. I've got another guest, and I'm very delighted to have this guest. It's a guest I look at every day. It's a guest I love very much. It's my wife, Mish. Mish, hello.
Hello, hello.
And welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. You saved the best till last.
Till last? What, am I being cancelled after this?
I thought this was the end of the season.
Oh. I hadn't said that, ladies and gentlemen, so maybe that's some projection going on there. I'm being told something I should be doing, I guess.
And I've set myself up for very high expectations.
Season finales always go out with a bang. So, you've been very supportive, and I thank you very much for that. You have given me great feedback along the line. This is obviously a podcast about weirdness. Mm-hmm. Let's get to know you a little better. Tell us something weird that's happened to you.
Look, the times being what they are, I can't help but have a bit of coronavirus themes happening this evening. Something weird that's happened to me recently is just purely a visual that I think is going to stay with me the rest of my life. I was in a medical centre a couple of days ago just for a very banal procedure. I just had to get a little freckle on my leg biopsied because it was a bit sus about possible skin cancer. Very, very much a non-event, except in the times that we're in, I was obviously given the third degree about my movements and health, etc. upon entering the clinic and advised to sanitise my hands with the gel. And then I'm sitting in the waiting room and waiting, and then next minute the sliding doors to the centre open and the woman who's about to perform the biopsy on my leg comes running in and crowing like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa," holding a 4-pack of toilet paper above her head like she's just won the sweepstakes. Ran past me and continued into her office.
Right, so through the waiting room.
Through the waiting room,
where
yes.
potential patients are obviously sitting.
More than potential, her actual patients.
Yeah. All right, so it's a little disturbing how quickly the veneer of kind of medical professionalism slips away, isn't it?
A 4-pack of toilet paper is all it takes, apparently.
Wow. I imagine her, sitting there with people going in, talking about dire things that are happening to them, and her just kind of fantasizing about, 2-ply.
Yeah, she's just looking past them over their shoulder at that 4-pack, which was sitting on her desk during the procedure.
So her medical accreditations come down off the wall and the toilet paper goes up in a pride of place.
Yeah, she was very pleased with herself, to say the very least. But yeah, I think...
All right, I'm going to start, as always, with a weird law that I've found.
I do enjoy those.
And this is a law from California, USA, which, as far as I could tell, is still in place. I'm happy to be contradicted, but animals are banned from mating publicly within 1,500 feet of a tavern, school, or place of worship. Okay?
Okay, and what's going to happen to these animals should they mate within that distance?
Well, I imagine like a SWAT team comes in and
will they be fined? Will they be forced to do some community service? Or?
I just immediately thought of some randy dogs with some handcuffs on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You'd need double handcuffs, probably.
Yeah. Or, well, hang on, that begs the question. If you're trying to handcuff a dog, are you handcuffing 2 front paws and 2 back paws, or a front to back and front to back on both sides?
I was immediately imagining 2 front, 2 back, but now I'm questioning that.
I think the second option would be kind of more debilitating for a dog, wouldn't you?
Well, they do that sort of... Don't they? Yeah, because they do like the front and opposite back per step.
Yeah. Well, you could handcuff them in a crisscross motion under their belly, I guess, diagonally across the thing. But yeah, here's a question: why do you think those 3 places particularly were chosen? School, you understand that you don't want kids watching randy animals. Tavern.
Well, you don't want drunk people watching randy animals. Might give them ideas.
No. And places of worship, like...
Well, it's just not godly to watch animals humping outside your church, is it?
But isn't that how God designed it to happen? I mean, you don't have to go through any kind of ceremonies before you get into any action when you're an animal. You don't have to, declare love before God. You just kind of get into it, don't you? I would have thought that animals rutting near a place of worship would have been a sign of God's plan at work. Well,
but having said that, if people rutted outside a place of worship, that is also God's plan, isn't it?
It's the idea of this being policed, a dog in a kind of interrogation room with detectives kind of bad cop, good copping it, trying to get to the bottom of the situation. But look, as with any of these laws, I read a lot about it, and I try and read from a few different sources. If I see it from a few different sources, I just assume it's correct.
I just wasn't aware of laws relating to animals because the enforceability is my immediate question.
Well, yeah. So,
are there animal jails for randy dogs and cats and pigeons and?
Yeah. What if they're strays? Then the owner can't be fined. Then
Maybe the owner gets fined for their randy animal on the street copulating in front of the church.
Yeah. And you can't follow a dog around with a rolled up newspaper all day.
It's true.
Look, I'm going to tell you a little story and then I'm going to ask you to tell me something. How does that sound?
That sounds very much the standard way the show operates. Yep.
All right. Well, I'm going to say that I was talking before about you being supportive of the show, particularly in the first episode. You really enjoyed the eel talk that we had.
I loved that story.
Yeah. So we were talking about Crassus, a Roman consul who had a pet eel that he adored so much, who bought jewelry for it. So I thought what I'd do is just find another kind of eel story
Thank you.
For you, if you wouldn't mind too much.
I assume this one doesn't involve piercing eels, though.
Well, no, but it might involve eels piercing something else. How about that?
That sounds a bit Mighty Boosh, but sure.
Nasal membranes,
Oh
for
my
example.
god. Jeez. All right.
So,
please.
looking up weird eel facts, and apparently some snails snort eels.
Snails snort eels.
Did I say snails?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go again. And apparently, seals snort eels.
Oh, like for pleasure. Like the teenage ones do it like a drug.
Yeah, so they've got to. That's what they're trying to find out. So it is a Hawaiian monk seal. They're an endangered seal, and apparently the juvenile Hawaiian monk seals, quite a few of them have been found with eels stuck up their noses.
Right. See, that's as far as I ever heard about this story, so I'm very interested to find out more.
All right, well, I found a great article about it. I think I'll just read you some snippets from that because it's just it's really well written and enjoyable.
Okay.
A few years ago, scientist Charles Litton received an email. It set him on a brave quest that, unlike the movies, never came to a satisfying close. Litton, fellow scholars and veterinarians are still dumbstruck about why seals snort eels.
It's fun to say.
Yeah, it is.
Even when you say snails.
Every now and again, a seal was found with an eel stuck up its nose. This always happened on a remote northwestern Hawaiian island, and the species was always a juvenile Hawaiian monk seal. All the eels were very long and very dead. None of the seals appeared stressed about their hood ornaments, i.e., having an eel stuck up its nose. Now, this is a fine kettle of fish for the endangered Hawaiian monk seals. For reasons no one can explain, the eels are ending up in the seal snouts, hanging out like something that should have been mopped away with a sturdy hanky. It's a real phenomenon, according to the scientists at the government's Hawaiian Monk Seal Research Project.
Can I just ask you, are they implying that the eels snorting is killing the seals? Or is this just...
No, the eels are dead.
No, but are the seals
endangered
dead?
Because of the snorting?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's that.
They're just finding them alive with the eels in their nose.
Yeah, and
Okay, they're not dead.
Not caring.
Right.
Not giving a bugger that they've got an eel stuck up their nose.
Maybe it's like, the fashion.
Yeah, okay. So rather than snorting eels for any pleasure, they're kind of trying to make a little nose ring out of them.
Yeah. It's like the seal version of the onion on the belt in 1952.
The problem is for the eels, not the seals. They've been found stuck up juvenile seals' noses on multiple occasions over the past 4 years or so, and they don't live to be snorted again. Fortunately for the endangered seals, they've all been okay after the eels were removed from their snouts and don't seem to have suffered any side effects from their puzzling predicament. The eel in the God, it is hard. This eel in the seal snout thing could be an anomaly. In the nearly 40 years that we've been working to monitor and protect endangered Hawaiian monk seals, we've only started seeing eels in noses in the last few years, researchers with the project of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration wrote. Yet, our researchers have observed this phenomenon 3 or 4 times now. We don't know if this is just some strange statistical anomaly or if we will see more eels in seals in the future. Dr. Seuss kind of work aside, it seems like there's a lot of kind of joy in the coupling of the words eels and seals going on here.
I think it's a fad. I think it's a fad amongst adolescent seals.
So, what, like leather jackets?
Yeah.
In the
very
50s?
much
Yeah,
like
yeah.
leather jackets, yes.
Right. It could be that eels are in the right place at the wrong time and that the young seals are just bad hunters. Hawaiian monk seals don't have hands, so they hunt with their faces. During foraging, a seal shoves its mouth and nose into the crevices of coral reefs, under rocks, or into the sand to find prey, including eels, octopuses, and other fish. Or, the researchers suggest in a post on the NOAA Fisheries website, it could be the seal swallowed the eel and regurgitated it, something seals frequently do, and the eel's coming out the wrong way.
However,
So
both those theories, why is it only happening recently?
Exactly. So I think that you got to figure out the why before the kind of how. Don't you think?
I read somewhere that someone had a theory that it gives the seals some sort of pleasurable sensation to snort these eels.
Why would you snort anything? That's the only reason.
Well, it's either an accident of hunting / regurgitation, or they're doing it for fashion or fun. Anyway, I endorse it.
Could this particular species of seal have some sort of nasal G spot?
Quite possibly. I just hope it doesn't contribute to their continued endangerment.
Well, I mean,
or the endangerment of the eels.
Well, the eels are dying. There's no two ways about that.
Well, those individual ones, but like as a species.
Well, what I think is probably a dangerous thing is that if you get a young kind of hip Hawaiian monk seal, right, and he's trying to impress his mates, and they're all doing eels, right, doing lines of eel, right?
Yes.
Now, you're going to get somebody who's going to try and just go that extra bit hardcore and go an eel up each nostril.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They get stuck there. That's when you start losing juvenile monk seals. And they're already endangered. So I don't know if there's got to be some sort of awareness program or something just to try and teach them it's not worth being a tough guy.
Yeah. Or maybe the look is just one eel, like one earring.
Right, okay.
One glove.
Yeah.
One eel.
I don't think one glove's a good thing. Not a lot goes well with people with one glove.
Well, at one point it was quite the
okay.
look.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I enjoyed that eel story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the scientists are still working on it, as far as we can tell.
Good, as they should. That is a priority.
But yeah, I mean, if you're in Hawaii and if you see a kind of seal trying to get off its face on eel, try and talk it down if you can. All right, what have you got prepped for me?
Right, well, you don't even know, so this is an exciting surprise. I have a few products. I couldn't choose just one, but that's okay.
So weird products you've found?
Weird products, weird vintage products that are kind of, some of them are timely to the current pandemic situation.
Yeah.
And all of them would be highly appropriate for your general weird shut-in style incel or socially isolated pervert.
Okay, so all right, so either somebody fearful of a pandemic or someone who's a creepy pervert.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
All right, that's the spectrum.
Yep. Okay, so first we have, and this is a vintage ad that really has captured my attention, stuffed girls' heads.
Oh.
Being not a visual medium, I am very sorry you can't all see it, but I am showing my husband right now.
Yeah, we can post these up after.
Okay. Stuffed, in quotation marks, girls' heads, exclamation mark, only $2.98, which is incredibly good value.
That's a bargain, yeah. So what we've got there is, like the typical moose head you might have on a plaque sitting on a plaque, wall.
Yes.
Except it is a lady's head.
It's somewhat like a sort of a mannequin who's quite heavily made up in a fairly 1950s style, perhaps.
Yeah, it looks like a kind of early sex doll head.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And is there some kind of advertorial blurb that goes with that?
There certainly is. But before we get to that, I will point out this lovely little... At the bottom, there's a banner with the word Conquest tastefully scripted underneath the mounted head.
That is lovely calligraphy, I have to say.
It is. It's very nice design. So with that in mind, the ad says as follows. Blondes, redheads and brunettes, for every man to boast of his conquests. The first realistic likeness of the exciting women who play an important part in every man's life. And one of the nicest qualities is that they don't talk back. Very important. Accurately modelled to 3/4 life size of real gals and moulded on skin-textured pliable plastic, these heads are so lifelike they almost breathe. Saucy, glittering eyes, full, sensuous mouth, and liquid satin complexion,
Oh, God.
combined with radiant hair colours, give astonishing realism to these rare and unique trophies. Blonde's redhead or brunette mounted on a genuine mahogany plaque is complete and ready to hang on the wall for excitement and conversation. Only $2.98 plus 37 cents shipping charges. Full money back guarantee. I'm not sure what the conditions are there exactly.
In case it doesn't hang on the wall well. I mean,
send it to Honor House Products Corporation in Lynbrook, New York.
okay, so I think you were being kind before with your spectrum. You forgot necrophiliacs in there.
Well, this is pretty Ted Bundy-esque stuff, isn't it?
It's got quite a necrophiliac feel to it. So what do you think is the angle there? So you might feel a need to boast about women you've slept with. So you might get one of these that looks a bit like someone you've been with and sort of start lining your wall with them so you can point them out to people when they come over.
Look, I'm guessing that the man who buys this has never slept with any woman.
Right.
So it's purely a false claim. But, like, what kind of wanker puts any sort of animal head on their wall on a plaque is the question.
Well, inadequate ones usually, you would think.
So then you can take that and multiply it by several factors. Someone who's deeply socially and sexually inept and feels a need to get their conquest lady head on their wall. So
we'll post this up sometime after the episode releases, but it is quite a creepy sight to behold, so you can look forward to that.
Yeah, I would say this is the blonde version we see here in the ad.
Yeah.
Sort of like Marilyn Monroe's hit cousin mounted on mahogany. who
kind of never really got anyone to show how to put makeup on, something like that.
And I'm really glad they don't talk back because that would be a bit like...
like a singing bass.
Yes. What would she say if she could talk? You were great.
Yeah.
Big boy.
I wish I'd never upset you. Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so...
what else you got?
All right, moving right along. Social distancing is our reality at the moment. And if you're the kind of person that just can't resist grabbing an ass, giving a good old pinch when you see one, any kind of ass, then you need the Italian fanny pincher.
Oh, yeah. All right. What is it? Oh, so it's like a kind of one of those grabbers you might get in a show bag.
It's like the kind of, like picking rubbish off the ground style grabber.
Yeah. Right.
However, its grabbing end looks a little bit like a dinosaur head, would you say?
It does. Is that meant to kind of take a bit of the creepiness out of the finding that your ass pinch? You go, oh, it's a funny little dinosaur.
Possibly. It's genuine Italian, though. It's genuine Italian fanny pinching.
So, what is the genuineness and Italianness of it exactly?
Let's explore that.
Right.
It's the hottest selling tourist item in all of Europe, and it's now available in the USA. Great for all shapes and sizes. Flat fannies, curvy fannies, small fannies, and large fannies.
One pincher fits all kind of situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sensational party item. Outstanding conversation piece. See, we have a theme here because apparently the woman's head mounted on your wall is also a great conversation piece.
Right.
Durably made, over 22 inches long. So I think you're keeping it's not the mandated 1.5 to 2 metres, but you're definitely protecting yourself rather than going right in for the intimate pinch.
Okay. Now,
show it at the office or shop. It brings a million laughs.
Oh.
Everyone who sees it will want this clever novelty. And there is, hopefully we will put this up also, a beautiful little illustration of a man grabbing a woman's rear end while she screams, eek, with the little dinosaur head. Yeah. And it's only $1.50.
Only $1.50.
It's even cheaper than the mounted woman's head.
We got a year for this? 50s? 60s?
Look, I don't know. I think we have to go on the price alone.
I think that's a bargain in any decade, I'll be honest.
I think it's probably 50s or 60s if I had to guess.
Now, the recurring theme throughout all this is that they suspect that a lot of men have trouble starting conversations.
Yes.
In company.
Yes.
So you need some sort of...
creepy accessory or
highly
device.
offensive gimmick of some kind.
Well, yeah.
To start a conversation with. Clearly, that woman, despite the fact that she's yelling "eek," I'm sure she's having just as much of a laugh as everybody else about it.
I'm just glad that it will fit any size ass you want to grab. I think that's good value.
I appreciate the fact they factored that into the design. I don't want to be buying a different pincher for different asses I see. Like,
That's
I want
expensive.
value for money.
Yeah,
I want my $1.50 to kind of stretch to as many asses as it can. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that, yes.
So, yeah, I think that's really something that would be good for the modern-day pervert in this era of a pandemic.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to obviously touch the woman's ass with your bare hands.
If you're going to sexually assault someone...
No, you have to do it safely.
You want to... I guarantee that you're not going to get sick as a result of it. I think that's fantastic.
For sure. All right, and I bring you my final product. This one, I'm going to just jump straight into it. It's called a trained drinking monkey.
Right.
It's a faithful companion.
Is this for people having trouble starting conversations with their friends?
I would suspect if your mounted lady's head and your ass pincher didn't do the job and you still found yourself alone, you're socially isolating, you haven't got the girlfriend, despite excellent technique, you can get yourself a trained drinking monkey for only $14.99.
Well, hang on, that's a step up to what we've been spending
It's
so far.
a lot more. However, you'll never drink alone again.
Right.
It likes all sorts of ales and liquors. It's not particular about brands. So this monkey has been trained to just be an absolutely unconcerned with brands, not discerning,
hang on a
complete
sec.
pisshead monkey.
Sorry, this is an actual monkey.
Yeah. It's a real monkey.
So I haven't seen the picture
No.
yet.
There's the picture. It's a monkey.
Right, it's an actual monkey.
It's a living creature that has been somehow brutally trained
to drink.
To drink whatever shit you pour down its bloody throat. Okay, it likes all sorts of ales and liquors, not particular about brands, can be taught to pick pockets, but we didn't tell you that.
Oh, right.
Okay, and you can specify if you'd like your trained drinking monkey to be smoking or non-smoking.
Wow.
Which is important because, you don't want a smoking monkey if you're a non-smoker.
I guess not.
You don't want your non-smoking monkey looking at you judgmentally if you're home alone drinking your liquor and smoking.
Yeah.
You want to be, on the same page.
I'd love to know kind of the training process for that.
I don't think I do want to know.
No, well, okay,
I think it would involve immeasurable cruelty.
Yeah, as you're right. That's probably something I'll step back away from. So, I mean, really, the good thing is with that, you don't have to share your good piss with it.
No, it'll drink anything. Sounds like it'll drink metho if necessary.
You can get a cheap bottle of something, save your good stuff for yourself. Mm-hmm. And you got a drinking buddy right there. That's appalling.
And yet, really clever. For right now, people, self-isolating.
Yeah.
They're home. All they've got is their Dan Murphy's delivery and internet porn. Their woman head on the wall, doesn't talk. I mean, what company is that? And you've been laid off. This monkey can be taught to pick pockets. With no, health adversity to you because you don't have to go and pick the pockets yourself.
I don't know why it's picking pockets.
Yeah.
No,
it happened to have brought me a few $100s home today.
Do
Very
you
handy.
think it needs a few drinks under its belt before it can work up to picking a pocket, or is it straight in there?
I don't think it's a moral issue for it and that a few drinks might...
Hamper the ability?
Exactly. It might just be a bit more clumsy.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean... Do we live in better times than then, when these were available? It's for other people to debate, I suppose.
I can't say for sure.
Well, no, okay. Here in Australia this year, we've had fires and floods and now horrible disease. So do we live in better times? Maybe we need to go back to drinking monkeys and and ass-grabbing
I
dinosaurs.
think drinking monkeys could make a comeback in this current climate.
Yeah, probably fair. Thank you so much for bringing those to me. Well, I'll enjoy sticking those up and seeing what people think of those.
Which one would you say is your favourite? Your mounted woman head, your fanny pincher, or your trained drinking monkey?
Well, that's an interesting question. Favourite as in what I'd be happiest to have, or that had the biggest effect on me?
Probably the latter.
I am fairly haunted by the image of the woman's head on a plaque, I have to say. And that, that's hard for me to say because I am obsessed with monkeys and chimps.
Yes, I'm a bit surprised.
So it is difficult for me to pass that up, but I don't think I'll be forgetting that image in a little while.
Yeah, there's just a lot to still unpack there. I'm just still thinking you've apparently slept with her and it says Conquest, but now she's on your wall. Therefore, you killed and dismembered her.
Yeah.
We'll just leave that, I think.
Well, either you killed her or you're so rueful that she got away that you'd like to kill her, and this is the next best thing.
Ah, right. So this is just an homage to her.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to bring you a product now, a weird product of the week. And, on reflection, it's not actually that weird. It's actually bloody brilliant.
Okay.
It makes a lot of sense too. It is a towel, right?
Sounds groundbreaking.
There's more. But wait, there's more. Halfway, like the towel is split in half. Not literally, but it's divided in half by...
Somewhat like a maxi bond?
No. Well, yes. Yeah, but just in colour. So one side is colour brown and one side is colour kind of light.
Oh, I don't like where this is going.
On the lighter side is printed the word face. On the darker side is printed the word butt. So your towel is sectioned off so you know to dry your face with the face part and your ass with the ass part.
What about the rest of your body?
Well, it's somewhere in the middle, I suppose.
Is it a gradient or a straight line?
No, a straight line. You
have to choose where you're going to dry your arms and your legs and...
Well, you'd probably imagine the face part would be a lot more sodden.
The butt part should be certainly smaller.
Yeah, okay. These are practical things. I'm guessing didn't work their way through the eggheads nutting this out. But yeah, unless, it's meant to be for people of a larger variety.
Whose asses are 50% of their body.
Yeah. You've seen those people.
Occasionally.
So, yeah, but I thought that was great. Like, how many times have you probably put the ass, something you've just kind of jammed up your ass to dry it, near your face?
Honestly, probably never, because I don't tend to jam things up my ass to dry it.
You're meant to go along with me.
Sorry, yes, that is a very good idea, because I'm so tired of jamming things up my ass and then rubbing my face with them.
Yeah, good. Oh, I'm glad we were on the same page there. All right, I'm going to give you a parting oddity as we wind down here. And it is simply that most lipsticks contain fish scales. Did you know that?
I think I did, actually, yes.
Yeah, right. What do you know about it?
Well, most lipsticks contain all sorts of weird shit, like crushed beetles and, yeah.
Sorry?
Well, that's where originally the red colour in makeup comes from.
Really?
Yeah. It's a specific beetle.
Right. So what, originally, and then they had to replicate it in some way?
Well, I think they still do use it often. Let me...
Huh. Well, while you're looking that up, I'll just tell you what I've got here, which is that the fish scales have something known as pearlescence, the silvery substance that's in the fish scales. It's primarily sourced from herring and can be found in many lipsticks, nail polishes, and other cosmetic products to give that shimmery effect.
Here we are. Now, my pronunciation might be very wrong. It's either cochineal or cochineal beetles provide the pigmentation for red lipsticks.
Right. So what do? Just crush the fuckers right up.
Exactly, yeah. Totally.
And then throw
They've
them
been doing it for decades, if not centuries.
Okay.
Yeah. Some lipsticks have chili in them to plump the lips.
Right.
Fish scales are in there. Titanium dioxide, that sounds nice and healthy.
Wow. Well, I think it's the first time I've given anyone a weird story there's just the person's come back and trumped over the top of.
Well, what can I say?
Well, don't...
I'm a knowledgeable lady when it comes to lipstick ingredients.
For sure.
For some reason.
For sure. I'm not going to argue that. I'm going to say thank you very much for being on the podcast, though.
You're welcome. I'm going to keep reading about lipstick
Yeah, please do.
ingredients. It's really disturbing.
And I hope everyone stays safe out there. Goodbye.